Welcome to Control, Delete, Heal, the podcast rebooting mental health for the burnout, the broken, and the BR. Each episode, we bring raw conversations, real stories, and expert voices, from the kitchen to the counseling chair, and everywhere in between. From chefs to clinicians, from trauma to transformation, we open dialogue across generations and communities. Because healing starts with truth, and truth deserves a mic. And now, here's your host, VL Henry.
You shouldn't have to say that, but if you have to, that's the boundary you set up. And I think that's the number one thing that we can do as individuals is set those boundaries and tell people, you're not going to do that to me. And that's the first start.
Well, you've definitely answered the next question that I was going to pose on you, and it's like the kitchen life. Do you think, so it's still kind of like a toughness, still is the badge of honor or the trauma response. I know that me going into the kitchen, I saw, and I came from corporate, so there was so much pomp and circumstance, HR, and you just couldn't say things. But when I went in that kitchen, I heard things and I said, oh, I have to count to 10 because I'm going to be fighting somebody up in here. And they would say, and it would be, how do I want to say this? It would be the most challenged person, someone that is not educated. Catherine Miller was on the show, Sam, and you can vouch for that. She was talking how it's a group, sometimes in the culinary world, it's a group of misfits that are it's like the carny, where, they couldn't make it here, so we're going to come here. And there was more situations where I said, wow, this is really a dangerous environment. And it kind of made me want to pivot into food safety. For my own safety. But so you answered my question about the machismo and macho existence. So, let's change it a little bit with Sam. Sam, do you think that in the culinary world or the culture, does it prepare men? Do you think it prepares you to suppress emotions instead of express it? Like instead of expressing it, you express it maybe by throwing a pot or something like that. What do you think, Sam? Samuel.
You good? I think in the kitchen life. I mean, it's challenging. It's competitive, depending on what side you're on. So more if you're more on the upscale, fine dining, country club. Fast paced. It's going to be a change every day because you have that clientele you have to impress. So, but I would say, the more you try to suppress yourself, the worse you are because that's when you go into depression. So what I learned is, respectfully, I'm gonna speak my mind. I'm gonna be, but in a respectful way. But I'm just gonna set the tone to where let's be professional. But let's get through the shift and let's take care of the guests, take care of the customers. Afterwards, we can talk about whatever the problem is, and we can take it from there. So, but like I say, sometimes you can't take all that pressure on because that's when alcoholism, drugism start taking over. And like I was telling my mentor earlier, we gotta say in the hospitality industry. Like you say, it's a misfit. I call it. It's all walks of life come together because it's one of those things that the average person can cook. The average person can know they can get a job in the restaurant industry, but it just taking them, teaching them, and bringing them into being a chef or that leader. So I think it just we got to get back to if you're a leader or a manager, take responsibility and be the example.
Excellent. And the more I hear this, it's like maybe not just the kitchen, but maybe the workplace is kind of like a mirror for men to process their pain, no matter where they are, whether they're working on a dock, whether they're working in a corporate office. Maybe it's their place where it reflects who they are,
I do have something to add real quick.
Go ahead.
We're not just misfits. We're actually pirates, as Anthony Bourdain said. And I think it's also has to be said. We also are a lighthouse for a lot of the people that are unwanted. You look at people that are going through the criminal system and getting rehabilitated. Where are they going to go for a job? We open our arms to them. People out of the military, when they get done with the military, they seem to be drawn to it because of the hierarchy of what Escoffier put into a place. There's a lot of structure. There's a lot of form. So there's that has to add to it. Besides all the chaos that we have to live through, there's a lot of pressure. Chef Samuel actually pointed out drugs and alcohol. We are the #1 industry for substance abuse. Out of a poll recently, 50% of restaurant people have thought about suicidal thoughts. And that's extremely, extremely hard to even hear, because I've been in this industry and I love this industry. I'm a lifer. And I guess that's another reason why I actually feel that I need to talk about it. Again, I think to solve things for us, we have this thing called family meal, where we make food before shift or after shift. I think this is an opportunity as leaders. We can sit down with our staff and actually have a great conversation where they are in prep, how their day is going, but more importantly, get to know them in a personal level, to have an open conversation, and then to have that conversation. Hey, it's time to check in. Where are you today? I think if we do more of that, I think we have a better shift. We have a buy-in from our employees. They actually have a buy-in to us as leaders, because we're not just bosses. We're actually helping them to express themselves, not per se like learning different things that the two people on the panel that have the therapy to and the degree to go through that, because we're not that. But it's a start for us to have that open line of communication.
That's so interesting, and I think that's why I pivot. And I, here's my question though. And Catherine Miller brought this up. She said something about work-life balance. I think too, there needs to be, when I worked in the culinary, where I worked, about 5 years, and it's addictive as far as the hours, and as soon you can't wait to get home, and then you find yourself at the bar doing Jägermeisters, and time is still going. You know what I mean? So I think work-life balance really needs to be pushed. I think HR, and I know it's hard when you have a mom and pop place. I know those places are hard, but those are excellent points that you brought off. And I want to move back to Dr. Dion. We talk about, we're on segment 5, which we got here real quick, and this is bridging the gap. Dr. Dion, in your opinion, what would forgiveness look like between the generations? Like, what does healing require? Surrender, humility, like a new leadership. What is that? What do you think it looks like?
I definitely believe that we as a society need to recognize that mental health is here and it's been here. We need to work on communicating that and being comfortable and having open discussions about feelings. Even within the workplace, we're being overwhelmed with work to meet productivity. And some people are suppressing that feeling, and then they get burnt out. And then some of them are angry, some of them are depressed, some of them just quit. And then we have a cycle of dysfunction within the workplace. So we have to be willing to communicate and listen to what we all are feeling, and want to talk about those feelings, not just fluff. Sometimes they'll throw us into a training to tell us what burnt out is, and then what we should all be doing as if it's realistic, and sometimes it's not. But in society, I think we need to slow down a little bit. I think we are on a fast, what is that wheel where the mice go in and they turn around? You're just in that fast pace constantly.
Hamster.
Yeah.
The hamster wheel.
A hamster. Okay. A hamster wheel. We're not stopping. Society, we're 24/7 with the internet, with ChatGPT, like everything is instant. And because it's so instant, we're not stopping, we're not slowing down, we're not recognizing. And I think that is where the biggest change needs to be. But I don't know if society is ready for that type of change.
That's profound. Doing this whole series, I've looked at stuff, and I always find myself saying, why is that person so angry? And then someone told me, it says it's not that particular moment. It's a buildup. Mm-hmm. It's not that the coffee order got wrong, right? It's that buildup. Like when Mike said, young men haven't been heard, and, or growing up, young men were like, suck it up. and I don't know about you, Jeff, but I was raised by a father that was a Marine, and I don't know if my sister is on here, but he worked us like he worked my brothers. In fact, he might have worked us harder because he worried about his young ladies and he wanted us to be productive. So, I remember I used to play basketball and I would come home with a bloody nose. And he'd be like, "Don't come to me. This is what you want." So I think I came from that same hard knock life. So, but when you hear all the stories that are going on, and there's a lot of things that are going on that's heartbreaking, right? And you see stuff that you can't believe, and it breaks your heart. And I guess, Dion, I mean, I don't want to put it all on you, but I mean, like when you see, and I don't want to make anything political because that's not what it's about. But when you see a child being pulled from their, and I think I couldn't do that type of work. I can't, not because I just can't. So when you see a person hit a stranger or beat the out of someone that they don't know, that's what I'm trying to get to the root cause. How do we as a society, or how, like on a small level, and I guess we start with this, but we all have a story or a cross to bear, not just Generation X males or
Yeah, I don't know where you put it.
we all have a cross to bear. And as a
Right.
Black woman, there's many a nights that I thought I needed a handicap sticker because not only was I a Black female, I was Generation X, I was gay, and I was like, wow. And I've had literally men yell at me in my face. So I think we all have that journey. It's just how do we deal with it? So Dion, I'm putting this where do we go from here, especially in America? Where do we go? I know we have mental health, but there's people that are not going to get mental health because they're going to say, I just need to go to church, or I just need a boyfriend or a girlfriend, or I just need to drink more water because I'm dehydrated. So what's your solution, if you can?
I think there's a lot of solutions. I think even if one was religious and they choose the Christianity or synagogue of being Jewish, etc., many people are trained in a religious counseling based system. So those services are there if that is what one wants. What I will say is that some of these behaviors that we see currently, the hitting, the violence, etc., didn't just start. This has been a pattern. And some households see those patterns in the household, but they say nothing. They do nothing. And if you're allowing that behavior to continue, it's going to go outside of the household and enter into the school system, enter into their own relationship that they have with their significant other, or it's going to go into the workforce being very aggressive or always angry and combative. So what I say is that if you're recognizing it in the beginning, talk about it. Pull a co-string. I see this is happening. Let's talk about it. What's going on? What are you feeling? And sometimes it can't be that simple. Maybe you need to play a game of Uno. You don't bring it out as a therapeutic session. You bring it out as a general compassionate way. And it comes out playing spades. It comes out by just taking a walk around the park. You just have to have that open dialogue with someone so they can be heard, as we talked earlier. That's usually what it is. They want to be heard, and they haven't had an outlet at this point in time. But I go back to my original statement. It's about educating the public. It's about having different forums in different areas where people find it to have a safe space and let them talk about issues at hand.
Well, we're getting close. By the way, did everyone see the message where the chat's open, or did anyone
I
see?
did.
You didn't? Okay, because you can
No,
start.
I did. I did.
Okay, so please feel free to reach out and send a chat to someone. I'd like to go to, I guess, the closing reflection to all of this, if I could. It says, who taught that being chosen defines you? Like this episode is Unchosen. Like who said that being chosen defines you, right? And what if maybe being unchosen was the beginning of your healing, right? So I'd like to invite each panelist to, in one sentence, what do you want? I don't want to just say men, because I think men and women are. What do you want them to hear tonight about, what we're talking about, what's going on currently, in the news? Like, what would be what you wanted to get out of what we're talking about? Go ahead, Dion.
I think the first thing that comes to mind is model the behavior that you want put back to yourself. If we want positive changes, we ourselves have to do positive things. That is my model within my own workplace. I model the behaviors that I want my staff to pick up on. And if we don't model good deeds and good behavior, we're just going to keep having a cycle of dysfunction. So I think modeling is the key part for me.
Go ahead, Samuel. Chef Samuel.
I say, yeah, in this day and time, like I tell anyone, you have to know who you are, and you can't let the world choose who you are. And you got to be confident within yourself.
Short and sweet, my brother, always, right? So, go ahead, Michael.
Let's say pursue meaning, something that's deeply meaningful to you, and kind of back off of video games and the fake reality that is out there. Your phone, develop meaningful relationships. I would say with reality to a certain extent, to develop yourself and with other people, and truly connect and exchange ideas and learn and grow. And I think that's what people really need now. We're distracting ourselves constantly with stimulation and entertainment, rather than actually truly connecting and pursuing something truly meaningful. Instead, for an example, that of people that go get college degrees, oftentimes are like, I'm going to go get a career. I'm going to go get a job. It's like, no, you're doing that so you can develop yourself and you can grow and you can become a better person at the end of the day and help other people and connect with other people. That's what you should be using it for. I know for me, with my past addiction and depression and stuff that I had, that's exactly what I've done with my research that I've been conducting, and it's trying to push the bounds of myself and not competing with anyone else but myself each and every day.
That's powerful, Michael. I appreciate that, you being open and honest. Chef Jeffrey, go ahead.
I think the number one thing is, one, you're not alone. That you might think you're walking a path in darkness, but the light is around you, and it's who you surround yourself with. And I think what you also need to keep inside yourself is, what is the best version of myself? And my father taught me that when my father passed away from actually taking his own life. When I looked around the room of who showed up and how very little people that were there, it caused me to check myself to see what you do in life echoes in eternity. And we can't change that. It's really weird how we will sit there and go to somebody's funeral and think what a wonderful person they were, but that during their life that they can hear you say those words. We never say that. So my intention, hearing and seeing what my father went through, was to change who I was, to look at myself, to make myself a better individual, and to seek the therapy to enable myself to find those things, to give me those tools to accommodate or to accomplish my goals of trying to be a better human.
I saw Imani had her hand up. Imani,
Yeah.
go ahead and say something. I think, go ahead and unmute yourself. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have unmuted. Thank you. Jeffrey, first of all, I'd like to say I'm sorry for your loss, and those are great teachings that you took away from your father. And I would like to also thank Dr. Dion for the invitation. In regards to the topic, I think right now it's like we are on an emergency or alarming right now with our mental health. And I think one of the things that will take effect right now will be just finding the support system. I think I've seen Dr. Dion kind of coming up with that whole Black community. People now just need to to vent, to talk about things that are really hurting them, to air what is really hurting them, more like talk therapy, for everybody to kind of like talk and then hear each other out at the moment where we stand with our mental health. Education is going to be a very good part, more so if we talk about emotional intelligence, because we are all talking about how much we need the mental health, how much we don't hear each other out, but we can't even hear ourselves out. We are so tapped out with our own selves from within. And that is something, if you can't relate with yourself, you don't even know how you're gonna, react out there in the world, or you don't know how you're gonna step into the world if you can't even relate with yourself. We don't even know we don't take seconds to even sit with our own feelings or be our own entertainment. We're not present. And those are the things that within us talking, we're gonna be talking about in the dialogues, or even kind of like giving ourselves this little self-care mechanisms that kind of like will be working in the moment, so that it can it can regulate our nervous system and then open up our minds, so that we can be able to receive whatever we want to even educate about at the moment. It's going to take a lot of individual work. It's going to take a lot of individual work. Nothing like, I'll say, from a point of you have to do this, you have to do that, because we've been hearing that so much. And it kind of like, I think it's exhausting, it's emotionally exhausting, and people don't have the emotional capacity anymore to hold the do's and don'ts. And when we come to workplaces, especially the word work-life balance, I still have an ick about it, because we are trying to balance between work and life, whereby I feel like it should be an alignment. And when I feel like the whole analogy of work-life balance, when we talk about it, kind of like is still paying respect to the word of, this is a workplace. There's no emotions in business kind of thing. Like when you're at work, mind the work, and then when you kind of like go home, go do your self-care over there. Yet when we come to workplaces, we are still coming with our whole totality of self, of our emotions. So when we get to talk about work-life balance, it kind of gives it that whole feeling of operating out of not being authentic to ourselves. And authenticity is anchoring within our values.
Right. And thank you so much for sharing. And I think with the work life,
Virginia?
You just moved.
I can't
Yeah,
You
hear
just
Yourself on mute.
muted.
muted.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Imani, thank you so much for the dialogue. That's excellent. I think what I was saying about, we need our own kind of gauges. And what you're saying, I think a lot of people, it's been years and years of not being heard, and they're angry.
Mhm.
And I think we've been, a lot of us, and I don't want to blame our parents, because people say they did the best they could. A lot of us were raised by narcissistic parents,
Right.
and we didn't know the definition. We just thought, oh, they're just tough. And a lot of us will refuse to get help. And then, and then it just stumbles into the workplace, that dysfunction. It follows us. And I think I learned a lot, and unfortunately, through breast cancer, I think being still, I think the moments where I was still healing, I got to know me. And I think people don't, and some people might say that might be a luxury, not the cancer, but a lot of people are sick and have to keep working. They have to, because we live in a capitalistic society where we're run by money. They make everything health care, living in a nice neighborhood, all this stuff, and people don't have time. Back in the day, it was one income that could raise a family. Now it takes several incomes. We don't have time to slow down. And we're so capitalistic, and it's almost just a survival, because nobody wants to get kicked out of their mortgage. There's people that have to make choices between, are their kids going to get food, or are they going to pay their rent? There's people that are not having health insurance. There's people that don't have, that aren't going to get, there's going to be over 300,000 children in the state of Alabama that will be in food insecure come November 1st. because snaps are not coming.
Here's the nugget about
You know,
that.
so a lot of stuff is just pure. If you think about it, it's kind of simple math, but it's not. They make it convoluted. You know, if, you know, a teacher told this boy, he yelled at him, "I can't believe you don't have a pencil." And then she found out that this 7-year-old boy has to get all his brothers and sisters up, go through a neighborhood where there's gang violence, make sure that they each get to their classroom, make sure that no one gets hurt, and she's asking him about a pencil. So I think we're asking the wrong questions. So Imani, you're right. You hit it on the nail. We need to simplify. We need to find a way. But let me just do this, and then we're going to open it up. I'm gonna close with this. To everyone that's listening, your silence isn't strength. Your vulnerability isn't weakness. Sometimes it's the ones that are unchosen that become the ones that change the narrative. You know, sometimes I call it's that black sheep that becomes the goat. You know, that's my term, because I consider myself kind of like underachiever, and then I turn around. I always say, don't let anyone put a period after your name. You must control the narrative, delete the stigma, and heal your mind. I want to open it up to questions, and y'all go ahead and talk, and I'll try to direct it to who it is. I just want to thank this panel for putting up with me, my emails, my Zooms, my videos. Sometimes I get up 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, I get inspired, but Jeff is up. Jeff's up with me too. So I want to thank you.
I'm also 9.5 hours.
And you're probably in another country. But I want to thank you guys for being a part of this, and I hope we continue it, because there's a lot of things to be talked with, and people need to be listened to, and we need to have a forum where people can talk. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. You guys have been amazing, and I thank you. Okay, go ahead and ask your questions. I'll open up the chat and ask away.
Virginia, real quick, if somebody misses this, is there going to be a link where
absolutely.
Can then rewatch
Absolutely.
this? Okay.
And it's VL.
Great.
Thank you. I haven't been called Virginia since I was in Catholic school. Thank you. Talk about trigger. Let's have a show about.
Whoa.
No, just joking. I'm just joking. No, I will be recording this in its entirety, and I will have the link, and it'll be, everyone can catch everything. And I'm debating. I know I'm supposed to have a show in November. It's about, I have to see, because I'm still in school too. I'm working, I got my first master's, and now I'm working on my second master's in mental health. So I have school right now. I'm homeschooling. So I got to kind of, so I got to kind of debate on what I'm going to do. But no, go ahead, ask your questions. We have 12 people in here. Please, I'm going to, unmute yourself and talk away. I see my sister Carmen there. Carmen, are you there? She's not going to shout out. She was on my second show. No, second or third show. Okay. All right. Anyone? So, Jeff, where are you going next?
We actually travel from Mumbai tomorrow morning. We're going to Lonavala. We're actually talking and staying with Dr. Kurish Dalal, who is an incredible individual that is a archaeologist and a food archaeologist at that too.
Wow.
So it's going to be a real treat, because he actually concentrates. He's one of 4 people that actually concentrates on the Indian subcontinent, of the cuisine of the Indian subcontinent. Okay. So it's been a whirlwind. It's been a lot of fun. India has touched me, and it's amazing to see. And this is something for the restaurant industry, for Chef Samuel and yourself, VL. The restaurant industry here they actually go to school for it. It's not like they have the opportunity, like, hey, I want to become a bartender from a server. They actually go to culinary school, then bartending school, to even getting a master's degree. So it's quite different to ask the questions here in the cuisine or the different country. Even in Germany, it was a lot different. They were there because that's what they did, that's what they wanted to do, and that's what they went to school for. Whereas in our industry, it's more of a transient, or it could be, I didn't have anything else to do, because you hear that a lot too.
That's amazing. Yeah, when I went on a lot of interviews, and I went through Escoffier, and then I went to Johnson & Wales, and then I got a lot of guys were like, oh, you're overqualified, and I don't know what chef you work for. And I was like, wow. I was like, this is going to be rough. So I had a hard time getting into the industry because no one knew me. And it wasn't, I had enough knowledge, but they just, but in fact, I got to know someone, I got to get in by someone that my son knew. And then that's how it started. So it wasn't even my resume. And even now with my resume, they'll say, so I kind of I don't even I won't put my master's on there. It depends on what it is. But that's interesting because I figure if I was going to be a chef, I needed to know exactly what I was doing. And I wanted to know the cuts and I wanted to know everything. And I just immersed myself in it. I just fell in love with it. But anyways, because Chef Samuel, you went to culinary school, right?
Yes, I went to culinary school.
Okay.
So did I. Johnson & Wales, Miami.
Went to Johnson? Well, okay. All right. So,
JW. Yep.
But so I thought that we have people on here, and I'm Imani, Hazel, Akeisha, Robert. Thank you guys for joining us. I really appreciate it. Like I said, this is going to be on YouTube. This is going to be on my YouTube channel. And like I said, I'm going to be, I tell you what I am going to be looking for. I'm going to be looking for people during the holidays to do my little advertisement for me, Control, Delete, and Heal. And Jeff, if I can get you somewhere in the country doing it, it would be so cool. And it really helps me because I like to keep promoting it to let people know, Control. And I do want to work closely with some kids. I think with the whole SNAP thing, I'm going to be working with some local schools and seeing what I can do together to get some food and Meals on Wheels to some of these kids, because it's going to be some of these kids, that's their only meal they get is when they go to school.
Let's talk offline. I definitely would love to do.
Oh, that would be cool.
I would definitely do a promo spot here in Mumbai, and then maybe one in Lanavla, maybe one in Dubai. So
that would be cool. That would be so cool. Yeah. I would appreciate that. And Samuel, whenever you let me know if you have something going on. I'll try to make a way to be a part of it, because it's going to take a village to help a lot of people that are going to be affected by this. And it's one of my biggest passions is I've always been a part of No Kid Hungry. I've always sponsored Thanksgiving meals. And I just think that I used to pick an elementary school and I used to drop food off to the teachers because a lot of the teachers weren't being paid enough. And I just think that they're going to need all of us as citizens to show our compassion that can. So Samuel, if you do need me for anything, you give me a call, and because you're with Alabama, right? That's not too far from me.
Yeah, Mobile, Alabama.
Okay, so and we'll do something, because I have to give back. That's one of the things that I think helped me is I humble myself and I pray and I say, what can I do? I say every day, what can I do to help someone? What can I do to be a better person? And I think that that's helped me in grounding me. And plus having a 13-year-old that's 5'8", and I can't believe he eats as much as he does, and I gotta cook for him. Anyways, I digress, you guys. I don't want to keep you any longer. I thank everybody for showing up. You guys are all, also I'm gonna have some hats and t-shirts, so I'm gonna need addresses because they're gonna be like really nice. I want to give you guys, they're really nice, so I want to be able to, if you can send me your PO boxes or whatever, I want to hook you up with some hats and everything, as they call it, merch, as the young kids call it, merch. I got some merch. So on that note, I want to thank you guys again. It has been a fantastic ride, and I hope I know Sam's going to stay on it with me.
Oh, yeah,
I hope Dion, I hope all of you. I know you all are busy, but I'm going to touch bases with all of you when I need you, okay?
Not a problem.
Definitely.
Thank you guys a lot, and you enjoy the rest of your week, okay?
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Love y'all. Much love.
Good night.
Thank you for joining us on Control, Delete, and Heal, where we reboot mental health for the burnt out, the broken, and the brave. Remember, healing is not a straight line, it's a journey. And you never have to walk it alone. If today's conversation spoke to you, share it forward. Subscribe, follow, and be part of a community that refuses to stay silent. Until next time, keep controlling the narrative, deleting the stigma, and healing your mind. Thanks to the incredible panel and our host, VL Henry, and this is Control Delete Heal.